Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lowell Walters, and I want to speak to you today about a new IRS audit program for retirement plans and what you should be doing now to prepare. I'm an attorney at Carlton Fields, and the focus of my practice is employee benefits. I spend most of my time helping my clients with their retirement and group health plans. But really, anytime an employer is providing its employees something of value other than cash compensation, you have an employee benefit that can have additional Internal Revenue Code requirements, ERISA requirements, Affordable Care Act requirements, and I can help. So let me start. Actually, I'm going to share my screen here. And on June 3rd, the IRS issued a newsletter saying that they are rolling out what they call a 90-day pre-examination compliance pilot program. All right. Now, by the way, this is a newsletter. I forget whether it comes out. I guess maybe it comes out monthly. Actually, if you look scrolling down, maybe it's not actually on a regular basis. It's whenever they have something to say. I would encourage all of you, especially if you are in charge of your organization's retirement plans, to subscribe to this publication. I'll include a link to this in the description of this video. And when you get to this page right here up above, I think if I highlight it, I think you'll see here's a link for you to subscribe to get copies of these IRS newsletters. So I think it's best, rather than just talk about this new process, to talk about it in relation to what the IRS normally does when they're going to audit a retirement plan. So under both programs, you will receive a letter in the mail. All right. Actually, I guess I have had a client receive one by fax. Normally it's in the mail. And under the standard process, it tells you your plan is under audit by the IRS, and it contains a list of things, of documents it wants you to gather for the IRS's review. And this could be distribution information, contribution information, copies of plan documents. The list actually can be several pages long and can take a long time to gather all that information. Again, talking now about the standard procedures, sometimes they'll do a more focused audit when they have a more specific concern. And in that case, it'll be a smaller list. And the letter will also notify you if the IRS wants to actually visit your premises to speak with the individuals in your organization that are responsible for daily plan operations. Contrast that to what we know, and honestly, we know very little. It's just these few paragraphs. But here the letter says your plan will be audited or may be audited after the next 90-day period, and it recommends that you review your plan documents and your plan operations and correct any errors. Now, this 90-day gap between your getting the letter, I should say between the IRS sending the letter, right? There's very often a delay between when the IRS sends it and when you receive it. But this 90-day gap gives you some additional options. You actually can correct certain errors while you are under audit. But one of the programs that allows you to correct many things, it's called the Voluntary Compliance Program. It involves making a submission to the IRS. You are only allowed to use that program if you're not under audit. So you have more options to correct your errors within this 90-day period than you would under the normal process. Anyway, towards the end of that 90-day period, it seems like you'll be expected to notify the IRS saying, here's the errors that we found, and here is how we corrected it. All right. And I'm actually just going to read you this quote because it's really all we have. I'm reading you this language right here. All right. The IRS will review your documentation and determine if we agree with your conclusions and that you appropriately self-corrected any mistakes. We'll then issue a closing letter, or closing letter would mean they've reviewed everything that you sent them, they're comfortable with how everything's resolved, and they're going away with no formal audit. All right. Alternatively, they may conduct their own additional audit, meaning not just reviewing what you told them about, but reviewing other things to look for other potential problems. You know, we don't know what's better. I would think personally, my personal opinion, if you don't correct anything, if you have no errors, I think that's going to make the IRS more suspicious. If you were to say, these are the errors we found, I think the IRS is more likely to leave it be or conduct a limited scope audit just to make sure you really did correct those things like you say you did. But no one really knows just yet. All right. So, you know, in a vacuum, it's like, okay, fine, that's great. Thanks for letting us know. But now let me talk about what you should be doing now, because 90 days, 3 months, maybe a little less, sounds like a good amount of time. Honestly, if you get started right away and you have the cooperation from your service providers, 90 days probably is enough to find mistakes. It's not always going to be enough to fix or correct those mistakes. So it would be a great idea to get a jump on it now. And if you did get a letter, you know, and you were to respond saying, in anticipation of this letter, we already discovered these errors and fix it this way, I think that would look very, very good on your behalf to the IRS. Now, so what could you do? First thing, the most significant, not significant, the most common problem that we see with retirement plans is using compensation incorrectly. All right. The plan document defines compensation one way, maybe let's say W-2 compensation, total W-2 compensation. And then, so maybe you should then go and take that, go to payroll and say, hey, when employees make salary deferral elections and they elect, you know, 6% deferral election, is it 6% of all their W-2 comp? And if payroll says yes, great. It wouldn't be uncommon to say, well, that's for regular payroll, we actually don't include their bonuses. Well, then that's a problem, unless your plan document specifically says that bonuses are excluded. All right. Similarly, maybe you provide an employer contribution and it's been 3%, and your plan says it's 3% of all W-2 compensation. And again, go to payroll. Is that how they do it? If it is, great. If it's not, that's a problem that you should fix. I've never seen, I have seen obviously full-scale audits, and they definitely look at compensation. The limited scope audits that I've seen, where it's only covered a couple of things, those two also cover compensation, because it's known that that is a big place where mistakes are made. All right. Now, I'd also recommend you review prior reports that you may have received. If you have an accountant that audits your plan annually, review those last few audit reports, make sure it didn't contain anything requiring you to fix something that you forgot to do, or maybe you got started fixing it and it just kind of fell off the radar. Same with reports you might get from your record keeper. Your record keeper conducts annual tests, non-discrimination testing, various other compliance testing, limits testing. Make sure that none of those reports contain something saying that a correction is required. And again, maybe you got started with it and forgot to finish. Well, now would be the time to finish those corrections. Right? One of the things to think about, was your retirement plan document updated within the last year or two, maybe a full restatement within the last year or two, for what we call cycle 3. If you are on an IRS pre-approved document, all right, and you are a plan that's subject to code section 401, whether it's a 401k plan, a profit sharing plan, a money purchase pension plan, that document has actually, it's a deadline that's coming up. It's a June 30 this year, June 30, 2022 deadline to be fully updated. So either either you should be in the process right now of updating your plan document, or you should have done it probably within the last year or two. All right. And I talked a moment earlier about those of you that have a CPA review your plan, and that you should review those reports. Now, a number of you may have plans that don't get audited. All right. Maybe it is a 403B plan that's not subject to ERISA. Maybe it is a 401k plan that is a smaller plan, so you qualify for an exemption. You don't need that kind of an audit. Maybe you're a governmental plan. You're exempt from the filing procedures and you're exempt from the audit requirements. Consider contacting some of these CPAs, and I'd be happy to give you referral to some reputable CPA firms that do excellent work with the retirement plan audit process, to see if they would conduct an unofficial audit of your plan. It's something that they do on a formal basis for larger retirement plans, checking contributions, checking compensation, checking a whole array. All right, and then they have to issue a formal report that gets submitted to the Department of Labor. You would not need that aspect. It would not need to be a formal process. It could be an informal process. Could be very, very helpful to locating errors. Now, I want to get back to the documents that I was sharing. So you see right here, if you look on the left-hand margin, you'll see a place which is correcting plan errors. All right. If you actually click on that, all right, you get to this page with a whole bunch of interesting and useful information. And if you scroll down under where it says fix plan errors, you'll see fix it guides. All right. Again, this is a great resource to help you locate your plan errors in your plan so that you can correct them in advance of getting one of these letters. Now, the 401k fix it guide. All right. It's called 401k, and they probably use that because 401k is the most common retirement plan out there. This really can apply to all retirement plans, though, even if yours is not a 401k plan. So this is a fix-it guide. So first, it's saying consider whether you've updated your plan document in the last few years to reflect recent changes. We talked about that. Number two is really saying review your plan document. Take a look at it. This is a process that I've tried to engage with my clients in when we've done their update for cycle 3, and it's reviewing their plan document. A lot of times they'll review it and say, hey, this box that's checked, we're not doing it this way, we're doing it this other way. So look at your plan document and see what the plan is saying. Is that what you're doing? Let's see. Number 3 is the definition of compensation, and we've talked about that already. And then checking for employer contributions. This might go on for a few more, but very useful site for you to identify where you should look to find potential problems with your plan. And again, even though it says 401k plan fix-it guide, it's really good for all retirement plans. Now, let me do a special one for the folks with 403B. 403B plans, they're special. All right, special issues, special problems. All of the 401k stuff does apply to the 403B. But if you have a 403B plan, don't stop at the 401k fix-it guide. Go look at the 403B fix-it guide. Reassess, is your organization eligible to sponsor a 403B? Not all employers are allowed to. All right. Not even all tax-exempt employers are allowed to. Did you have a written plan document as of the date, December 31, 2009? Did you follow the terms? Did you follow the terms is a similar one. There should be something in here on universal availability. Let's see. Here we go. This is a very big one in the 403B world. The plan document one, having a plan document, that's a big one in the 403B plan land, and universal availability. 403B plans are very, very restricted on who you can exclude from salary deferral arrangements. So that's something that you will want to check. So go through your processes, contact your record keepers, your CPAs, review your documents. If you have found any mistakes, fix them. Fix them in accordance with IRS processes most commonly known as, it's kind of a tiered system. You have the employee, call it EPCRS, Employee Plans Compliance Resolution System. Under that, you've got your self-correction program that you do some corrections without notifying the IRS, and you're limited into what you can correct that way. Then there's a voluntary compliance program where you do notify the IRS and you pay an application fee. This one is much more expansive in terms of what you can do, but you still can't fix everything. And the last one is what they call audit cap. And that's where you talk about the more significant, more major penalties. Hopefully you won't get involved in that. With any of those though, I'm happy to help you however I can. So now you know a little bit about the IRS's new 90-day program. You know a little bit about regular audits and what you should be doing now to prepare. If you have any questions or comments, please share them. Send me an email, lwalters@carltonfields.com. And thank you very much.